So remember, subscribe to the channel,
Yeah, and
click like,
click the bell button.
click the bell button. Hello everyone and welcome and thanks for tuning in. Of course I'm sitting in the background here and we're got an 11:58 test, so we're just coming up to midday. In fact, the last video was also exactly the same time, however a different route, so it's really nice to have an alternative at the same time. So anyway, we are heading off. We're going up to up Rice Road here. We're going up towards the Lanark Road. This is Gokul's test, and Gokul had experience driving. He also has a vehicle which is very similar to mine, in fact exactly the same car as the one I'm using. So he has had plenty of practice driving with his partner, and so that's a really good advantage if you can get that. So that's another thing I need to mention. I need to do a little tour around the car. It'd be interesting to have a look at the car. It's brand new. So there's a little situation already that someone working outside their vehicle there. And you can see well ahead that red car's holding back for us. So that's in a good position. Holding back for us there. Giving way. That's good. And that's what we like to see. And we're now coming up to the end of the road and we'll be turning left. What I might do is I might jump in and stop the video at some point, so let you have a look at some interesting little features that maybe I've not mentioned in other videos, or maybe I have. It depends if I can remember or not. But anyway, that's us turning left into Lanark Road, and we are heading right down towards the Juniper Green area. 30 miles an hour at this point. Nothing much going on, but you can have a look at the route whilst we're looking to see if there's anything going on that takes our attention. So we're maybe can do a bit of planning, I suppose, while I'm talking to you. So there's a bit mirror check and controlling the brake there. Seems to be a nice little smooth stop there. Sometimes people get caught with them. They don't look ahead and look to see if there's anybody pushing buttons, and when the lights start changing they get taken by surprise. They end up braking too hard. There's someone behind you, and of course you've got a fault for changing speed without mirrors, or worse, where the person behind you is maybe not paying attention and an accident can happen, of course. So again, we're looking ahead as best we can. We can see the roadworks. As soon as you see roadwork signs, guys, just check your mirrors, ease off the gas pedal, let the car, start slowing down on its own without touching the brake. You see the lights are green, so that's fine. We can go straight through here, no problem. A wee mirror check and ease off the gas for the pedestrians as well. Yeah, so anytime there is something ahead of you that you feel that you might need to slow down or change direction, check your mirrors and ease off the gas. Here's a good example. Before entering areas like this where we've got what we would class as maybe an active area, there's shopping, there's pedestrians, there's things going on, you'll always find traffic signals and crossings ahead of you. So it's always good to be aware of what's behind you frequently. Therefore, of course, checking mirrors. When you see brake lights in front of you, check your mirrors, ease off the gas, control your speed. Very important. Cyclist ahead of you again. So again, I would be checking my mirror here. I'd be checking my right mirror because I'm moving for the parked cars anyway. Coming through this tight area, we're kind of using a little bit the other lane, but there seems to be sufficient room there, so that's fine. and we'll be taking the next road on the left. So I would be on my mirrors and signalling and controlling my speed here. We have the 2 and 10 method, so down to second gear, ease the clutch up looking into the new road. You can see the 20 mile an hour and the parked car, so you're on your mirrors, maybe even holding back for this car. Okay, so there are obviously sufficient room. Look well ahead again. So when you get into areas like this, you really have to control your speed to the same level as you're thinking, so that you don't end up going too fast for yourself, and then of course you end up so there's a good example. Check your mirrors, cover the brake. This kind of thing happens quite frequent nowadays. Youngsters on kids on these bikes now, these e-bikes are treacherous, you know, and they come up behind you, and in some cases they're even faster than vehicles in residential areas. So when you're in situations like this, we class this as potential meeting situations, where you've got to hold back and make sure there's nothing coming towards you, before you actually proceed in the area. So this is a little area here in Juniper Green, is an area where we do a lot of manoeuvres, and examiners can do various things in little areas like this. And I feel that what we'll be doing is taking the next left. It is quite a tight little corner, this one, so again, you just got to be a bit careful that you don't get too close to the curb in this situation. Seems to be going round quite nice there. Yep, car ahead, on the mirrors right away, interior mirror, right mirror. Yep. Now again, running out of road, again back on the mirror again, checking the car could be coming around the corner, so we can't overtake the red car until we've checked the new road. So we look up the road as best we can before we actually go in. It's sod's law, because what happens is when it always happens on a test, you know, the unexpected always happens on a test. My experience is that I don't really believe in luck as much, but I believe in being unlucky, because there's been situations where if it wasn't just for 2 seconds earlier or 2 seconds later, it could have been the difference between the student passing and failing. So there's been a lot of bad luck, I have to say. Anyway, pulled in, stopped here. Probably just a matter of pulling in and maybe following sat navigation at this point, perhaps. So we'll definitely assume that it's sat navigation from here, and Gokul will be moving off shortly. Now, it's very important that you have a routine for moving off. Always use the same routine so that it becomes habit for you. I always teach my students is get the gear and check the mirrors, interior and right mirror. If there's nothing coming up behind you or towards you and you feel confident in moving, then do the final blind spot check, then signal, and then proceed ahead. Obviously, if you've got a manual handbrake, you'll take it off. In this case, with our new car, we've got a nice electronic handbrake. So we're going to get on the mirrors for passing this vehicle. Again, we're running out of road, so again, check behind you, and we're going down back onto mirrors again for parked cars. So you can see that it's frequently, we're on our mirrors all the time. At the end of the road, we'll be turning left. I usually take first gear about the third white line, about here. So I do gear, a little steer, and then I check it's clear. Again, routine. It's important that you keep these routines, because repetition really does breed good habits in driving. Okay, so we're now coming up to Gillespie Crossroads, and we'll be turning left there. Gokul's been instructed to turn left. I've had a sneaky little preview of the footage, of course, guys, so it helps me to help you. And of course, when you see the signs, always a great place to start your routine when there's a sign, doing your mirrors and checking. You know, I always like to look at the junction before I signal, because there could be junctions before it, especially if in areas that you're not familiar with. So interior right mirror here, parked vehicles, and you can see we've got dual carriageway ahead, which is normally 40. The 40 mile an hour confirms that. And again, we just got to keep that white line on the left hand side as their position. So we'll be going for the city bypass. So we're going to be checking. It's first exit on the left, as you can see. So interior and left mirror, of course, and braking gently. Give a good signal, plenty of time, and we'll turn left onto the bypass. Now, even at this point, you can actually be looking right. You can see the bus. You can see the proximity of vehicles that are coming around. You can see the density of traffic. You can get an idea of whether you think you're going to be stopping or whether you can maybe continue. Try and see, it's always a good habit to see if you can pick a vehicle and see if you can follow, pick the vehicle that you're going to follow. It helps you sort of prepare a little bit. I know you can't see right now because of the camera angle, and something that I'm going to deal with in the future. Maybe we'll try and get another angle. So you can see that's us heading onto the bypass now, 70 miles an hour on this one. So we're quite blessed in Edinburgh to have this road, because it really does help you for when you're going on the motorways. The traffic's a steady flow, so we've got our mirrors done, we've got our signal, and then we're just picking a vehicle in front, and we're going to start obviously checking your mirrors. Your right mirror is very important there, and when you get into your lane, again another mirror checking, cancelling your signal. It's always important that you don't go immediately for the overtake if traffic is slow. It's a good idea to wait a few seconds and familiarise yourself with the different speed of the road, and once you become comfortable with that and you've been looking ahead to see if there's possibility to be able to overtake and to get back, then you can maybe go. Now we've got a little bit of a gap between us and the vehicle in front there, so we use perhaps don't know what you use, but it's a dry day, conditions are normal, braking's good, so then the underground conditions are good, so that means it's a 2-second gap. So you'll see the vehicle in front, and we've got to count the seconds. So we've got to have to start with 0, 1, 2. So when the vehicle in front passes an object or a bridge or something type of reference point, we start our count. And if we arrive there before we've got to 2, then we know we're too soon. So there's the 0, 1, 2, 3. And I use that shadow. That shadow of the bridge is always an excellent reference point for keeping your braking distance from the vehicle in front. We're actually a little bit behind that vehicle, and we maybe want to try and catch up a little bit. Now, another important thing is when you've got vehicles on the right hand side, if they're in traffic and queuing traffic, then yeah, you can come up the inside and overtake on the inside. But if they're free flowing like it is now, it's not a good idea to start overtaking vehicles on the inside. There's your 3 marker for your left turn. So I always like to do mirrors at the 3, signal at the 2 marker, and then after the 1 marker, I'm looking down on the ground at the lane and see where the lane's changing, because it's important we don't go into the hard shoulder. So on the mirror, covering the brake. Don't worry about clutching gears, just bring your speed down, that's the main thing. You can look, in this situation, you look for Collington or whatever, and you're on the mirrors and signalling. Bring your speed right down, and I just pop my clutch down about now and select the gear I need. Now you can see on the left hand side, it's 30 miles an hour here. Looking right, taking a little left turn at the roundabout here. So you signal left, but I'd put my signal off pretty quick here because people might think I'm going left into the garage. So we're going round into the travel lodge. So we'll do our mirrors and signal into the travel lodge, and we'll do a little bay park in here. So I don't know what bay park Gokul's been asked to do, but let's just sit him back and watch what he does. So we'll have a wee look at his position here. So the road mark is not very clear on the left. On the right hand side it's a little bit better, but he's a little bit close to the bays on the right to do a right bay, he should have been further over to the left hand side. But I think that's what he's actually going to do. I think he's going to reverse to the right here. Now, let's just see how he does there, because he was a bit close. So I do apologise that we can't see the white lines and everything going on at this particular time, because being on test you can really only do the dashcam footage, because I'm always frightened about catching audio. Now see how he's going forward a bit there, so he's been slightly out of position. Now that's the reason, and that usually happens when you're a bit close to the bay. You've not got the manoeuvrability of the vehicle. So he's came in, he's been slightly out of position, but he's done what you and I would do. He's checked his mirrors around, made sure it's safe, drew forward, lined up his vehicle and came back into position. So no problem with that at all. Okay, so we'll now be instructed to go up to the end of the car park and turn right. And again, we have to assume that we're following the sat navigation. It doesn't really matter whether you're receiving sat navigation or instructions from the examiner, to be honest with you. Both are just as clear and easy to follow. Check to the left, guys, here. A lot of people do forget about the left hand side here, but it is a residential area and cars can come from the left. Now if you remember, we're officially 20 miles an hour where we are right now. We've got a truck there, so it's sitting in a... I thought it was actually parked there when I seen it. Now see on the right hand side there, you can see you're 30 miles an hour from here. It's basically a reminder, and we're turning left here. Now this is the Dreghorn link. Now the reason why I pointed out that speed sign is because I had a test just recently who failed coming down here doing 36 plus, and the examiner had to tell the student to slow down a bit, and that was all that was the fault in the whole test. Can you believe? Maybe a couple of minor faults or whatever, but roundabout ahead, so check your mirrors, bringing your speed down. Kids patrol there, possibly. No, it's okay, we're okay. So we're taking our first exit on the left, so we'll be signalling left here. Okay. So usually coming down the road here we get asked to pull up on the left. You see it says slow there, but it's a bit faded, and there's another one there. There are purposes for that, because at certain times of the day this road can become really busy, and on the left hand side you've got military barracks there as well, and usually we get asked to pull up on the left. Sometimes you get asked, guys, to go up close to a vehicle, and perhaps maybe only just like one car from it, and asking you to stop there because it's an angle start and they want to see that you can move off behind them between cars. So we're still officially 30 miles an hour. Parked cars ahead, interior right hand mirror. Not necessary to signal, just drift across. Slow again, so on the mirror, bend to the left as you've seen that. Easing off the gas pedal, controlling your speed. Always preparing to stop. Check interior and right mirror again, signal not necessary. All good here. It's a bit difficult if a bus is coming. This is another thing that can happen, and you've got to be ready, prepared to take action. And I think one of the main things is never be taken by surprise. If you're taken by surprise as a driver, you're really not planning well enough. So at the end of the road, we'll be following the road for Collington, which is left here. And of course, on your mirrors, interior and left mirror, controlling your speed and signalling for the junction. Wee bit of traffic here. Keeping your distance from vehicles in front. You should be able to see the tyres of the vehicle in front touching the road. We say tyres and tarmac. If you look left there, you'll see there's a crossing. So, good observation to the right decide if it's safe to go, and remember to look left before you actually go, because pedestrians could be walking on the left. There's a gentleman there on the left going to press the button, you see. So you could be staring right and not anticipating anything, and as you go round, all of a sudden you've got this white car in front of you, and you see what Gokul's done. Gokul's came on the inside of that car. I wouldn't have done that. I would have just slowed down and behind the vehicle. So really, officially, this is only a one-lane road, but it's a big wide road. I don't think the examiner will be too worried about that particular steering that Gokul done there. But you need your interior and right mirror for this parked car on the left-hand side, and we will be asked here, if we're not sat-nav, to stay right. So we're going to be bare to the right-hand side. So you have to actually keep to the right-hand side of this yellow box. Now, this is a little bit, I mean, I told you I didn't believe in good luck, but there's a little thing that happened. Gokul's went right onto the yellow box, assuming he's going to get across to the other side. I suppose he was a bit lucky there, that there wasn't any, that he wasn't maybe the fourth car, because he could have got stuck. If he got stuck one car back, then he would have been sitting on that yellow box and would have had to pay for it at the end of the test. Whether it be minor or major, it would depend on whether he's actually blocking traffic or not. But it's definitely a fault if you're sitting on it. But he's clear and everything worked out quite well there. This goes to show you how things can happen. So we're back to 20 mile an hour, guys. I don't know if you saw the sign just back there. Down Collington Village. Again, a famous meeting situation where cars can be coming towards you and using your lane. Mirror on the before the crossing there. Check to see there's nobody pressing buttons. Bit tight this area. It's good that he's checked his mirrors and he's held back there. So, not much to talk about right at this particular moment. Just maintaining your pace and keep an eye on your speed. Once we get round the corner, you'll see a 30 mile an hour sign, and it's always good practice that when you're going to change speed that you check your mirror and start accelerating. Double bend on the left hand side, so that's first to the right and then to the left. So of course this is, I'm now taking the right bend, and then there'll be a bend to the left further up. All is good. On the right hand side is Pentland Avenue, and a lot of tests go in there, and the emergency stops done in that area, as well as parallel parking and various other manoeuvres you can do. So your instructor should take you in there and guide you around. So we checking your mirror and controlling your speed. This car's sticking out a little bit there, and we'll be asked to, looks like we're either going ahead or turning right, because Gokul's taking the right hand lane here. The left lane at Gillespie Crossroads here is for left turn only. Again, the road markings are pretty faded, they're not really clear, and of course, so you've got to watch out because vehicles sit on top of the arrows. So yeah, I think Gokul's okay here, and even although the signals were changing, that's fine, provided they're not changed by the time you've gone over the white line. This is Lanark Road again, and we're still at 30 mile an hour, and Gokul will be asked to take a right turn soon. It's quite it's usually the second exit. This is the first one here. It's a bit awkward because it sometimes can come very quickly. You've really got to get on the brakes and hold back. This is it just here. And then sometimes we can be asked to pull up on the left as soon as you get into the road if there's sufficient space. And you get a little hill start in here just on the left hand side. So on the mirror for the parked car to make sure it's safe to overtake. That was a good speed actually. So he's obviously made an assessment with that BMW in front there. So that was good. I could tell by the speed he was using, and you can see that we're now down to 20 mile an hour as well. Parked cars again, so we're on the mirrors for that. And there's a chance we might even get an emergency stop in here, to be honest. So of course you'll be debriefed for that, and the examiner will explain to you that they're going to do the emergency stop exercise, and they will also explain to you what command they will give you to stop the car immediately under control. And the examiner will probably explain to you that they will probably look over their shoulder first to see if it's safe before carrying out the command, and that from then on in you will then follow the instructions, and you will be asked if you can understand that, of course. So what you want to be doing, guys, is as soon as you hear the command is you get on the brake as quick as you can, because it's a timeless thing. You don't need to check your mirrors, of course, because you wouldn't have time to do that. Time equals distance. So you need to make sure you're on the brake and then clutch down, of course, just before you stop. But as you notice now, the examiners abandoned that instruction just now, probably just temporarily. There's probably a vehicle, and if a vehicle passes us, it's because there's been a vehicle behind us, and the examiners, that's it, that's exactly what's happened. The white Toyota was behind us, so GoPro's now been asked to move off, and of course you'll now be asked to do the emergency stop manoeuvre. So that's some stop there. So remember, once you stop, guys, handbrake on if you've got one, first gear, and look all around the car, left shoulder blind spot, right shoulder blind spot, and then you can move off, making sure as you're moving off that nobody is overtaking you or coming up behind you. Things happen so quickly, and that's the reason why we've always to maintain and to constantly monitor what's coming up behind us when we're moving off anywhere, to be honest. So there's a little right turn here. I think they call this Hales Approach, I'm not 100% sure, but we've got parked cars here, so we've mirrors for that, and there's a little junction here that can sometimes be missed by people, because you can see the white lines are in a little dip there, and it's a little tight junction, you can't see right nor left, so you really have to creep and peep here and go up to the junction and make sure that no one's coming in either direction. So that looked okay. Okay, so Pitland Avenue and 20 mile an hour, and I'm pretty certain we'll probably end up either getting maybe just a stop and a start again, or we'll probably just go right up to the end of the road, because we won't be doing a parallel parking or anything like that now. So we're just going up to the end of Petland Road, and we'll be turning right and probably just heading right back up towards the test centre through the Lanark Road. Yeah, so perhaps also at this point that might be the end of the sat nav. The sat navigation might be turned off at this point, and maybe just following the examiner's instructions from here on. So we're heading off. So these roads are pretty quiet, they're quite wide as well. There's not a lot of white road markings as well. It's the same with most roads nowadays, they don't have the central divider line until you get nearer the end. So at the end we'll be turning right, so mind you get your mirrors and signal before the first little one. Usually 5 white lines leading up in the middle of the road. You can see that just on the right hand side and the left hand side there was your 20 mile an hour zone ending, and you are now coming back into the 30. So we're just got to be a wee bit careful here, because when cars slow down, sometimes if you get eye contact with drivers, you can sometimes see them either maybe giving you some sort of nod or indication that they want maybe you to go first before them. That's okay, provided you don't do that on a driving test. You're never allowed to beckon other road users to go in front of you. So at this particular point, we're just waiting to get back up Gillespie Road here. 30 mile an hour up to Gillespie Junction and turning left at Gillespie Junction. I've not done an awful lot of music. Maybe I should have. Perhaps that's something you might want to comment on if you're just thinking my voice is too much talking all the way through this. I mean, you're talking maybe like 30-40 minutes nearly, and I've never stopped talking. So my mouth is getting dry. And we'll be turning left at Gillespie Junction here. So few faults have came up here in the past in my experience, and that there is a left filter lane to turn left here. Sometimes when you're sitting here and it's red, some students can look across the road at the wrong signal, and of course there's no left filter at that signal. And sometimes I've had a situation where the examiner had to tell the student that they've now got a green light and can turn left. It's quite embarrassing. So that was a failure to respond to traffic signals. And then yes, of course it's a fail. So we're really on the home stretch now, guys. Yeah. Lanark Road's just a matter of 30 mile an hour, mirror checks frequently for crossings like you can see in front of you, mirrors for parked cars just to drift out. Signals are not always necessary. And we're coming up through Juniper Green, which is, as we said earlier, there's a red car there parked, so we're on the mirror. We have to decide if it's safe or should we really hold back and wait. And this is the timing of your thinking. So I'm actually looking at the video and trying my best to time what I would do, you know, when I see things. I can see parked car, the black one in front of me again. I'm on the mirror here, I'm off the gas, and I'm deciding if I can get over the white lines to overtake the car. I'm still controlling my speed because this crossing I can't see. Now I can see on the right hand side. Sometimes cars can obscure your observations, and if you can't see anybody pushing buttons, the chances are there'll always be somebody there doing it. Famous meeting situation this is, coming up through Juniper Green, and there's a lot of holding back. It might be worthwhile pointing out that when you're holding back vehicles, always make sure you're more than a vehicle away from the car and just to the left of the centre line. I think Gokul's just a little bit close to that Volvo. I would be a little bit further back because I should try and allow at least another car length before the parked car. You've got to remember that motorcyclists and cyclists can actually go through these areas, and so it's important that just before you move off that you check your mirrors and you have a look. So he's maybe well back here. That's better. That's a much better distance from the vehicle in front, and just to the left of the centre line is perfect. Now you've got to be patient here, and it's tempting when you're sitting a while waiting. You think that you're going to get faulted for maybe hesitancy or not making progress because you're not going, and people tend to think I better get going. But the truth of the matter is, think about it this way. You're actually there's a gap for him, so he's went in there. As long as you don't interrupt the approaching vehicles in their position, yeah, or their speed. If they have to change speed or direction for you, then you're the hazard. And be patient, because if, like I was saying, always think that you're the one that's being assessed on if you do have patience. The roadworks ahead, of course, on the mirror, controlling your speed. So we're happy. We've got we're through the roadworks, so that's good. And that sign on the left, that's the end of the roadwork, so we're happy. Just coming up past the Sainsbury's garage on the left, and we'll be asked to turn right into Bryce Road shortly. Another puffin crossing in front of you. Can you remember how to recognise a puffin crossing? You'll see the red man on the box that the pedestrians press, but it's a bigger one than normal. It's the bigger man, and quite bright LED lights, and of course it's worked through the cameras. You can see the cameras on the top of it. So on your mirrors here, interior and right mirror, signalling right, off the gas, approaching smoothly, 2 and 10 method. So here I would probably be thinking about second gear, raising my clutch now, deciding if I can go. So my feet should be off everything at this moment in time, and I should be moving in, deciding if I have to hold back, which I do. Yeah, that's a good, that car's parking actually, so it's a route mirror there, and we'll move out. Final stretch now, guys, in Bryce Road. There's no point in putting music on now. I've started, so I'll finish. So we're just staying right here. Simple enough, but we're expecting cars to approach us for the ahead. It is their lane, and we should try every effort to come in there. Okay, Google's came in there. Because that car had already did what it did, I think I would have just continued past, but it's not going to be a problem. Google's, he's displaying the fact he's got good observation. You can see what's going on, and he's being polite to let the car past. I don't suppose I would have been as polite as Google there. Would you have? Now, remember to check your mirrors here. We have been told to turn right. Now, sometimes you can get you can turn right at this one where this car is, or it's the second one I think Google's been asked to do this time. So that's the first exit. He's taking the second one. So again, another little active area. This, guys. Be careful when you're driving into roads, and always anticipate you might have to stop immediately, especially if there's a car coming through that gap, as you can see. And we'll be turning left into the car park at the test centre here. There we go. And we're just going to pull up on the right. And now's the time we can... There was certainly no evidence of anything that stuck out in relation to failing the test. We're only now looking to see if his mirrors and stuff like that's been good. Okay, guys, that's the end of the test, and we're pleased to say Goko passed his test. And we're not going to go into it too much. There was 2 minor faults, guys, which is a great score, of course. And however, one of them was quite an interesting one, was when she said no thumbs up to pedestrians. Yeah. So there was a pedestrian waiting, eh?
Yeah, so at the end of the test, there was a pedestrian waiting to cross. I stopped the car, but she was not crossing. I was like trying to signal her, you can go, but yeah, that shouldn't be done.
So you should never beckon pedestrians across the road in front of you, because something could be coming up behind you, and that could cause an accident. So listen, congratulations. Thank you. So just briefly, how do you feel driving now compared to driving before in your own country?
So I do see a lot of changes because in terms of the maneuvers and in terms of the observations and stuff, it really helped a lot.
You reckon it's better now?
It is better when you drive on your own in your own car, and then with a lot of practice, and somebody has to tell you what is right, what is wrong, so that you get it in your head. But yeah, so thanks to David.
So it's an instructor that you need, definitely.
Yeah, definitely an instructor is needed, I would advise.
So remember, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and follow click the bell button.
Click the bell button. Okay, guys, see you in the next one. Take care.
Cheers, guys.